I am Eleanor Berry. I'm chair of the Mid-Valley Poetry Society, which is an open group of poets and poetry lovers in the greater Salem area. This year, for National Poetry Month, we wound up organizing this exhibit, Combined Visions, Collaborative Works by Oregon Artists and Poets. We've got a dozen collaborative teams of visual artists and poets who have worked together in many, many different ways. We're here until May 15th. We are being staffed by some of the Mid-Valley MVPS poets and by some of the visual artists involved with wonderfully irregular hours, but we're here and we will be having an open house on first Wednesday.
One of the goals of this project was to create working collaborations between poets and artists, more than just artists illustrating poems, more than writers writing about art, and many of our teams accomplished that. My partner, the photographer Kelly James, and I approached this project with that in mind, and our hope was to create something that transcended both poetry and visual art. We started by refining and messing with a panel of wood, and then editing and rewriting a poem, and then considering and reviewing and discussing and reviewing photography that would fit that format, and then further refining and editing and sanding around the edges until we were happy with the outcome. The final work is a mixed media piece that not only extends the poem, but also enhances the form of the poetry through image and design. The poem is titled Obsidian, which is a literary reference to different perceptions of human behavior and how it informs and inspires the eye of the artist and the heart of the artist. The perception is similar to some of the obscurity or the opaqueness that would go with thinly sliced pieces of obsidian that might not be accurate, but nevertheless are very inspiring to the artist.
My name is Kelly James, and I'm a photographer. I collaborated with John Van Driel on this piece called Obsidian. John and I have known each other for quite a few years, and I've noticed that we have very similar aesthetic taste, in that we are kind of drawn to the same mood. We create paintings and images that are similar in a lot of respects, and so I knew that when we collaborated, it would probably be fairly easy for us to work together. For this particular piece, we specifically did not want to illustrate the poem. And so I was perfectly comfortable with that, because I figured that with our aesthetic taste so in common, that whatever we put together would reflect the mood of his writing. And I think we pulled that off. This is well, the photography aspect of this piece is very subtle, and we wanted to work with layers. I'm going to show you, there's actually an image here on a piece of resin-coated film. I'll put a piece of paper here so you can actually see it. As I say, our goal was not to be literal, but to provide, or to create a piece that reflected the tone and the mood of the poem. And that's how we came up with this obsidian.
This is a pair of collaborative pieces by a Portland poet and a Portland sculptor. The poet is Paul Merchant, and the sculptor is Steve Tilden. And they're both translators, really. And in this particular case, this pair, who've been collaborating for a long time, did their translations in two different ways. In this case, the sculpture was first, and the poem translated line by line and element by element the sculpture. In this case, the poem was first, and the sculptor translated it line by line, word by word. So it's a particularly interesting take on collaboration, I think. Obviously, the sculpture is relatively abstract, and the language is more clearly referential, but they interact in the most marvelous way.